You're a car mechanic that isn't quite with the times. Suddenly, your wife has been murdered and you're left paralyzed from the neck down. But a state of the art processor chip may be your only chance at revenge. In today's transmission, I discuss the 2018 film Upgrade. How goes it, folks? Jolly Yellow talking to you, and welcome to Transmissions from the Beyond, where I explore lesser known and sometimes majorly known works of fiction. Gray Trace is not a fan of the grip that advanced technology has on the modern world. After restoring a car for a tech genius, Gray and his wife are attacked. Asha, his wife, is killed at the scene, and Gray is left paralyzed from the neck down. The tech genius that he worked on the car for offers to implant him with an experimental chip that could restore his mobility. Greg knows he needs mobility for the one thing that he desires most: revenge. So with that breakdown of the premise, you can easily tell here this is not an entirely original plot, but I do like the way it's done. If you watch The Wraith, if you watch The Crow, if you watched a lot of the 80s, 90s action films, have some theme of revenge for your spouse that was taken from you. And that's what's going on here in Upgrade. But I like what's going on here specifically because when Gray receives the implant, or before he receives the implant even, we get a brief moment there, or a few scenes of when he is going through the depression and the response to being paralyzed from the neck down before he is offered that opportunity with the processor chip. And clearly, I am not a person that is disabled in that manner, so I don't want to try and speak authoritatively, but I will say that it was interesting to see how he responded, like how he was affected by it, how he kind of had a quiet rage, and then also those breakdown moments or moment before he is offered that chip. So I did very much enjoy the lead role, the gentleman that played Gray in this movie. I liked how he worked through that scene, or through the brief scene of when he is paralyzed before he's offered the chip. Speaking of the chip, which I'll be calling it STEM for the rest of this, just as it is in the movie, but the relationship between Gray and that chip once he gets it installed is very interesting, because they actually talk back and forth between each other so they can actually give directions, work together, communicate, and put everything kind of out there in an official capacity. So that's one other thing that I did like. And probably one thing that I enjoyed the most in this film is the way there's combat scenes where Gray himself, he's an auto mechanic, he's a car guy, he's not a fighter, but STEM is able to take control of his body and use it to perform martial arts moves, things that Gray is physically capable of doing. He just doesn't have the martial arts training or the know-how. So the fight scenes are pulled off really well, into which Gray's body, you can tell they're making the movements to perform the moves in combat and in fighting, but it looks like Gray, it very clearly portrays that Gray is not in control of his body as he performs those movements and motions. I did very much like that. Now, on the other hand, a couple of things that I really wasn't appreciative of. Like, I will say this, as Gray and STEM talk to each other, again, they're communicating with each other. STEM is able to create or generate sounds in Gray's ear, which allows him to hear. The problem I had with it was Gray was openly talking to the chip with like his own actual audio voice, but it didn't seem to reflect on the outside world. So there's a few spots where he's in a crowded room talking to STEM and no one seems to respond to that. Like, dude, what are you talking to? So that was kind of weird. And lastly, I would say the tech genius by the name of Aaron. I don't think I'm a fan of either his portrayal in the role, because he tries to do something along the lines of an eccentric genius, a reclusive genius, and either I just don't like that type of person, that type of character, or I did not like that actor acting out that role. I'm not sure which. I may have to look up the gentleman that played Aaron and see some more of his work to get a deeper opinion. Now, as for where to find this, as of September 9th, 2025, we can actually find this over on the Netflix streaming platform. I didn't see any notice about it leaving anytime soon, so it's probably going to be over there for a good little while. So that's all I really have to say about the 2018 film Upgrade. It's available on Netflix. I enjoyed it. I very much also like the twist that happens there in like the literal last 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. I'm not going to tell you what that is. Go watch it for yourself. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. I'll be back as soon as I continue to explore lesser known and sometimes majorly known works of science fiction. As always, keep exploring. Transmission over.